Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
It's you and the senorita. Whoop it, blowing up the tweeter, cause it's me up in the speaker. Back in the mama seat, top down like a player. And the sound up in your ears, it is the dopest rhyme. Say I run a game like a cheater.
So happy President's Day, everybody. Hopefully you're having an awesome one. The idea of President's Day brings up a whole lot. Especially in a year where we're about to pull that lever for democracy and elect a new leader of the free world and a president of these United States of America. I saw something unbelievably refreshing happen this past weekend just gone by. Something that I think is, and it's so small. It's so small. It's this tiny little spark of hope. This tiny little spark of hope for humanity that I saw burning in a vast wasteland of darkness. And it's going to seem so inconsequential to you. But when I saw it, my heart freaking soared. I thought, you know what? We as a species might be evolving. We might be moving the ball down the field. Humanity might actually have a freaking shot. What was this tiny little spark of humanity that gave me hope for the future, like almost nothing had in the past? We'll get into that in just a little bit. Right now, though, I thought it being President's Day, a day where we celebrate the fact that, well, see, here's the thing. It always falls on, what is it, the third Monday of February? I think that's when it is. It used to be on George Washington's birthday, but that doesn't allow for a 3-day weekend, so we changed it in our infinite wisdom. And when I say we, I mean the American government. And you know what? Oh, man. You know what's interesting? Very, very interesting. I thought about this a little bit. We changed it. We added, we made President's Day a floating day. So we could enjoy a 3-day weekend, really, is what it was. Or so government employees could enjoy a 3-day weekend. And you know what? Because America did that, there's this habit of saying, we did that. I think it's very important that we start making distinctions between we, the people, and the government of the United States of America. We don't necessarily want to be lumped in with all their crappy decisions that make the world laugh at us. So when I say we, I mean they. In their infinite wisdom, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to honor his birthday, but that doesn't give us an extra day off. As government officials, we like the extra day off. So let's change it so it floats, so that we always have 3 glorious days of not having to get out of bed and do anything for the taxpayer. And we'll call it President's Day. Anyways, what was this tiny little glimmer of hope of humanity? We'll get into it after we discuss the top surprising facts about U.S. presidents that I dug up for President's Day. Funkhouse, a little appropriate music with some gravitas, please. So, in honor of today being President's Day, I thought it would be the perfect time to do a little bit of research. I mean, we know what they teach us in history class about our various presidents. I think we have an idea of the big and important ones that sort of stick for having done significant things. Your George Washingtons, your Abe Lincolns, your Kennedys, your Reagans. Folks like that, very well documented. We are very familiar with them. But there's some stuff that we don't know. Crank the music a little bit, Funkhauser. We did not know that James Buchanan was a lifelong bachelor and close friends with a male senator. He also knew all the words to the musical South Pacific. We also did not know that thanks to his mutton chops, John Quincy Adams is considered to be the father of modern lesbianism. We did not know that James Garfield was the first president to talk on the phone. The call only lasted 1 second because the other guy said, hang up and text me. We did not know that Ronald Reagan was the only president to work with a chimp until the first president, Bush, picked Dan Quayle as his vice president. We did not know that during Bill Clinton's tenure, almost every major world leader smelled his finger at least once. We did not know Abe Lincoln was bearding before bearding was cool. We did not know that there was one president that enjoyed sex even more than Bill Clinton, Millard Fillmore. We did not know that Abraham Lincoln ended his second inaugural address by saying, "Smell you later, dudes." And finally, we did not know that the presidents preferred to pay full price for their mattresses. Thank you so much for joining me.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that rat race and that pace and that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say for you, there's gotta be a better way. Yeah, and you do what they told ya. Company man, feel it, a mindless little soldier. How can you live like that and maintain your composure before it's begun? Your life's already freaking over. Yeah, I do what I want.
America is like a healthy body, and its resistance is threefold. It's patriotism, it's morality, and it's spiritual life. If we can undermine these three areas, America will collapse from within. Joseph Stalin. And a quote that Ben Carson used during his closing statement during the presidential debates. Did you catch this?
Joseph Stalin said, if you want to bring America down, you have to undermine three things: our spiritual life, our patriotism, and our morality. We, the people, can stop that decline, starting right here in South Carolina.
Yeah. Here's the problem. Ben Carson didn't check his sources. Joseph Stalin did not say that. It comes from a Facebook meme that has since been discredited. Fantastic. One of the forms of political expression that frequently arrives in our inbox for verification is the evil plan warning, which present the notion that some this has been attributed to absolutely anything. This quote has been attributed to Stalin. This quote has been attributed to Satan. This quote has been attributed to various people within the religion of Islam, various terrorist groups. It's just like sort of like an all over. And you know what? They might be right. This quote might be right. But you know who is not right? Ben Carson, when he credited it to Joseph Stalin during a presidential debate. I know.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We run a goofy radio show. Where it would be very easy to just grab stuff off the internet, claim it was true, and run with it. But, you know, at least we have the, at least 9 times out of 10, we have the foresight to check Snopes before going on the air with something. Apparently Ben Carson did not, which is too bad because it was well-intentioned. And you know what? All it would have taken was a little bit more research to make that a really good finishing quote, to make that a really good part of his finishing statement. But no, he just grabbed it off of some meme and went with it. I wonder if he did that, or I wonder if some sort of writer did that for him. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it's not a good look. And if it was a writer that did that for him, that's a writer that should lose his job. This is what politics has come down to. This is how lazy people are. This is someone taking a stab at being the president of the United States of America, and someone's like, oh, this thing on a meme sounds good. No, I don't need to check and see whether Joseph Stalin actually said it. The 9th Republican presidential debate was this past Saturday, just gone by. Trump and Bush got into a pretty big dust-up over the Iraq War. Check this out.
George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty.
So you still think he should be impeached?
I think it's my turn, isn't it?
You do whatever you want. They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right. Governor Bush.
So here's the deal. I'm sick and tired of Barack Obama blaming my brother for all of the problems that he's had. And frankly, I could care less about the insults that Donald Trump gives to me. It's blood sport for him. He enjoys it, and I'm glad he's happy about it. But I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind. And while Donald Trump was building a reality TV show, my brother was building a security apparatus to keep us safe, and I'm proud of what he did. And he's had the gall to go after my mother.
The World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign. Remember that.
Hold on.
Let me finish.
They also got into a fight over immigration.
He is so weak on illegal immigration, it's laughable, and everybody knows it.
So, this is the standard operating procedure to disparage me. That's fine. I don't really
spend
care
a little
about
more
it.
money on the
I can handle
commercials.
it. But if you want to talk about weakness, it's weak to disparage women. It's weak to disparage Hispanics.
I don't disparage.
It's weak to denigrate the disabled. And it's really weak to call John McCain a loser because he was a POW.
I never called him. No, I don't call
That
him
is outrageous. He's an American hero.
And did you see Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz got into it? I mean, they have been a lot. Look, I think the and it's almost like no one's really called it, but it's just like the simmering debate that hides underneath all their back and forth is that they're both going after, at the very least, we can call it Spanish-speaking votes. People of Hispanic origin, whatever you want to call it. Whatever blanket terminology is going to define Hispanic people without offending anyone, they're going after their votes. Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and they don't seem to be willing to cop to that. No one seems to be willing to talk about it. But something happened during the debate. Oh my God, did you catch it? That couldn't make it more clear. They basically had a game of I'm more Hispanic than you are. How did that go? We'll get into it next.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. Well, it's a new one. Here I come again, coming again, taking it back to the place where.
So, like I said earlier in the show, there's a tiny little glimmer of hope for humanity that I saw this past weekend just gone by. It's going to seem so insignificant and so insubstantial to you that you're going to wonder what the hell I'm talking about. But stay with me on this one, because if you're like me, it'll give you genuine hope for humanity moving forward. The presidential debate got ugly this past weekend just gone by, and I think the elephant in the room that no one's been willing to talk about with regard to the back and forth between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. Oh, and by the way, and if you don't think that there's a back and forth between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz made an ad going after Marco Rubio, like specifically to go after him. Not to say Ted Cruz is so great, but to say Marco Rubio, yeah, no, not so much. That's a sinking ship that you want to leave as quick as possible. Here's the problem. It got pulled after, like, no time whatsoever because it featured a softcore porn actress. Did you see this? He recently pulled his campaign ad because it unknowingly featured a softcore porn chick called Amy Lindsay, who, by the way, I guess thinks of herself as a Republican, or at least a conservative and a Christian. Here's the ad. She went to an open casting call.
Has anyone else here struggled with being lied to?
Well, I voted for a guy who was a Tea Party hero on the campaign trail, and then he went to D.C. and played patty cake with Chuck Schumer and cut a deal on amnesty.
Does that make you angry?
Angry? Oh, it makes me feel dumb for trusting him.
Maybe you should vote for more than just a pretty face next time.
You guys have room for one more? Come on in. Come on in.
Come on in. You can have Frank's chair.
I'm Ted Cruz, and I approve this message.
Basically, it's like an AA meeting for people that once liked Marco Rubio, and the guy who walks in at the end is wearing a Rubio T-shirt. It is creative, it is kind of funny, and it's vaguely clever, and it is nothing more than undignified mudslinging, something that I hope that we could rise above during this particular presidential campaign. But no, as it turns out, we absolutely cannot. So, yeah. Anyways, here's the thing about Cruz and Marco Rubio. They're attacking each other over matters of principle, but really, what they're going after is the Hispanic vote. And well, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz got into an argument about immigration, and it ended up with Cruz whipping out his Spanish skills. Check this out.
He proposed an amendment that would have legalized people here. Not only that, he proposed doubling the number of green cards. He proposed a 500% increase on guest workers. Now his position is different. Now he is a passionate opponent of all those things. So he either wasn't telling the truth then, or he isn't telling the truth now.
Marco went on Univision in Spanish and said he would not rescind President Obama's illegal executive amnesty on his first day in office.
First of all, I don't know how he knows what I said on Univision because he doesn't speak Spanish. And second of all, the other point that I would make...
Marco, si quieres, díselo ahora mismo, díselo ahora. En español, si quieres.
And it really all comes down to that. They're attacking each other left, right, and center because, well, they suck up the same kind of oxygen. They take up the same air. They occupy the same social space. It's kind of like Chris Christie and Trump. Chris Christie was just, hey, bada bing, I'm from the East Coast. I take no guff guy. I know how to die. Yeah, I'll look after you. And then Trump came along and, as we've said before on the show, took a Trump all over him. Kind of outdid him exponentially on every one of the things that could be perceived as his calling cards, the things upon which he hung his hat. Trump outdid Chris Christie. And that's a battle that's going on between Cruz and Rubio at the moment. Yeah, there are ideological differences. There are policy differences. There are all sorts of differences. But really what it comes down to is they want to be president, and they're going after Hispanic voters. They're going after Hispanic voters when it comes to getting the nomination for president of the United States of America for the GOP. And, well, as much as we wanted to dance around the whole thing, as much as we didn't want to reduce it to this guy's more Hispanic than the other guy, as much as we didn't want to play the race card in terms of well, we didn't want to be reductive to them. We didn't want to be reductive to what was going on. We didn't want to be reductive to our political process in that way. We wanted it to be about human beings. We didn't want it to be, they're going after the Hispanic vote. But I think they made it abundantly clear that they are this past weekend just gone by. He doesn't speak Spanish. Oh, yeah? Check out the Spanish on me. So it's an interesting one, for sure. Now that Rand Paul's out of the race, Ron Paul's talking smack about Ted Cruz. Not smack so much, but here's the thing. Ted Cruz gets a lot of juice from the libertarian crowd. Ron Paul is kind of sort of like the guiding light of libertarianism. He is the libertarian tastemaker, I suppose. Is it libertarian? Not sure. Let's ask Ron Paul. And now that Rand Paul is out of the race for the White House, his father, Ron Paul, who ran in 2008 and 2012, not so impressed by Ted Cruz's attempts to pick up the free market libertarian banner. And he said it. He said, you take a guy like Cruz. People are liking Cruz. They think he's for the free market. And in reality, he's owned by Goldman Sachs. Now, here's the thing. Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi, used to work for Goldman Sachs, and I think he got a giant loan from Goldman Sachs for his campaign. But here's the thing. A lot of people are saying he's not owned by Goldman Sachs because it's a loan, something that he's going to pay back. Whatever. I don't know. But this is what is being said by Rand Paul. Oh, it was being said by Ron Paul now that Rand is out of the race. He's like, no, you take a guy like Cruz. He's not really for the free market. And he said, I don't think there's so much picking. If you're a libertarian, apparently Rand Paul doesn't think libertarians really have an option. I think a lot of people think I'm a libertarian. I think for a second I thought I was a libertarian. But then when I started identifying myself as a libertarian, whole big can of worms open. Can open worms everywhere. Come over to my house, do bong rips, and let's shoot AR-15s. These are things I don't enjoy, so I don't call myself a libertarian, at least not when I'm in Texas anyway. Not that I have anything against libertarians who enjoy bong rips and AR-15s. It's just not my speed. And all the libertarians that I've met, in Texas are the pot smoking, AR-15 shooting variety. And you know what? You should be. It's just not my deal. And I decided a long time ago that I didn't want to be negated by being labeled. So I suppose I have some libertarian leanings, and the idea of a libertarian candidate, I was kind of sort of into that. But whatever the case may be, apparently we don't really have a real libertarian candidate, according to the libertarian tastemaker Ron Paul. Except for, and this is an interesting one because it's making people cross party lines. Except for Bernie Sanders. Yeah, that's what Uncle Paul says. That's what Ron Paul says. He basically feels, I think, that our closest thing to a libertarian candidate this time out is Sanders. He said, on occasion, Bernie comes up with libertarian views when he's talking about taking away the cronyism on Wall Street. So in essence, he's right. And occasionally he voted against war. And this is what a libertarian is in many ways, traditionally. Against war, against crony capitalism, for small government, stay the hell out of my business. I'm going to do what the hell I'm going to do, and the government can stay over there. You stay over there. I'll look after my own. Thanks. Don't tax me. Don't use my tax dollars to start wars, and don't use my tax dollars to fund crony capitalism. All these things are things that I kind of sort of am with. And Uncle Ron says we don't have that. We don't have a candidate that really represents that ever since his son is out of the race. Except for maybe Bernie Sanders, just a little bit. And I thought that was insane that he crossed party lines. I thought that was insane that, and he's kind of loosey-goosey with which party he's in. But the fact that he was able to bridge a bit of an ideological gap and not throw support behind Sanders, but go, the company line is that a libertarian would be Ted Cruz, but he's not. Let's just be clear on this. He is not. Sanders is closer to that than he is. And something happened over the weekend. Scalia, the conservative Justice Scalia, passed away. And this is a person who I think Bernie Sanders would have been diametrically opposed to ideologically. Going back as far as you can remember, probably. But he said something. He said something that I really hope a lot of people heard, and I don't know if they did, because there's a lot of noise coming from every single political candidate in the run-up to the election. And Bernie Sanders said something that I hope a lot of people heard. He said, while I differed with Justice Scalia's views and jurisprudence, he was a brilliant, colorful, and outspoken member of the Supreme Court. Now, there is likely to be significant pressure on the Republican-held Senate to hold off on confirming anyone nominated by President Obama, who's in his last year in office. Democrats are quickly calling on the upper chamber to consider Obama an Obama nominee to replace Scalia. Because, make no mistake about it, his passing has created a bit of a power vacuum. And either side could benefit from getting the right person into that gig. And what did Sanders say? When there's tremendous political gain to be made, when people are licking their chops in the wake of the death of this man who he did not agree with on a great many number of things. He said, while I differed with Scalia's views and jurisprudence, he was a brilliant, colorful, and outspoken member of the Supreme Court. He honored him. And while that might be encouraging, That's also good politics. You know, that's what a politician's supposed to do. The ripple effect that I saw from that, and this is the tiny glimmer of hope that I have for humanity, that, hey, maybe you see it, maybe you don't, but it was a big deal to me. The ripple effect that I saw from that was, well, one of my extraordinarily right-wing buddies, that I suppose you could call a libertarian, a guy who works extremely hard, a guy who's smart, a guy who believes in the free market economy, a guy who believes in economic Darwinism, survival of the fittest, forcing people to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Someone who could not be more against everything that Bernie Sanders stands for. Someone who would never in a million years vote for Bernie Sanders. And there's so much mudslinging on the right and on the left. The left are so quick to call people like Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio Nazis or fascists or whatever they want to call them. And the people on the right are so quick to denigrate folks on the left, saying, oh, they're just a bunch of socialists, they're a bunch of Stalin wannabes, this is the end, this is the absolute end, that someone that is running under the banner of socialism, albeit democratic socialism, and making some headway, this is the beginning of the end of America, that the word socialism is even allowed into a political campaign in the US of A. People are really quick to absolutely dismiss people that disagree with them, think differently than them, as evil people that hate America. It's just not the case a lot of the time. And the little glimmer of hope that I saw from my incredibly right-leaning friend was that he said, despite my disagreement with Bernie on policy, he is a principled man and showed a lot of class there when talking about Scalia. I hope my liberal friends can follow his lead. Is it just me? Is it just me getting wood for humanity over that? That, my friend, represents such a change, such a tremendous change in terms of just a little shred of human decency that's going to help us all thrive and survive. We may disagree with each other radically about the best way to get there, but ultimately, we all, for the most part, want to get to the same place. And it's incredibly powerful to bear that in mind.
Starting from here, my head is where I feel numb. The pace almost gone, taking it back by the way my mind is working. Like that, my emotion, my control is always shaking. So no, it'll be nothing at all. My mind is like an empty hole. I want to be calm for help, but all my friends are like a pressure valve. And what I need is salvation and a little bit of patience. Oh, with all the love I have, I'm still alone. With the feelings that are associated with the sad life that I'm bringing, the tears and the singing. Being alive isn't a gift when there's so much you have missed, and so little ringing true. The words to you by the people you trusted, when it all came down to choosing your ideals, developing your fears. Why sports are always what I've been like. How with all the love I have, I'm still alone. There's feelings something I would never wish upon anyone. There's feelings something
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me.
Did you guys see a movie this past weekend just gone by? I mean, it's a big weekend to go on a movie date. If you did go see a movie, I bet I know what you went to go see. Why? Because everybody and their dog went to see the same movie, Deadpool. The new Marvel superhero flick Deadpool opened with $135.1 million, which is the biggest opening weekend ever for an R-rated movie and the biggest President's Day weekend debut. Absolutely swallowed up the other two movies that opened this weekend, How to Be Single and Zoolander 2. And here's the thing. How to Be Single and Zoolander 2 didn't even beat out Kung Fu Panda. They were in at number 3 and 4. Kung Fu Panda number 2, which I think was number 1 for 2 weeks in a row, and Deadpool at number 1 with $135.1 million. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, full disclosure, I was part of the marketing campaign for Deadpool, but it was an easy decision to make. They're like, hey, do you want to do something with Deadpool? I was like, yes! Because I love the comic book for years. One of the most compelling, hilarious characters, one of the most interesting and different things to come out of the world of comic books in a very, very long time. And to see something interesting and different succeed this way in the mainstream is awesome. But you know what they did not do? And Hollywood always does this. Hollywood always screws it up with their unmitigated arrogance in terms of like, we know how to make movies. So what we're going to do is we're going to fundamentally mess with the integral mythology and the canon of this character. And we're going to be, Spider-Man. Now, we don't think he's going to be a scientist. What are you talking about? This is the whole reason he became Spider-Man. He got bitten by a radioactive spider while studying science by going on a field trip and studying science. No. He's not a scientist. We're going to make it so the radioactive spider, when it bit him, made him able to produce the webbing out of his own body as opposed to creating the web fluid and the web shooters that every single Spider-Man fan grew up thinking would be so cool, and maybe I could just build one of these and then I could be Spider-Man too. You take away the canon, you take away the integral mythology of how Spider-Man has his web shooters, and this is just one tiny example of how Hollywood has managed to F up beloved comic books and make movies that are truly terrible and unwatchable and awful at all times. The TV shows are great for the most part. They are a very different kettle of fish, and honestly, I kind of sort of feel that television shows, that's the way to go with comic book adaptations. Like a movie, you're trying to cram too much into one thing. You got to get the origin story in, you got to establish the villain, and you got to have the giant battle and the girl, and everything, and it's just the whole big thing. It's hard to fit into an hour and a half long, 2-hour movie. But an episodic, ongoing thing, the way the TV shows have been, that's been very hopeful. But there's only ever been 2 comic book movies that I've seen and haven't gone like, oh, you jerks, you screwed it up. Only 2 comic book movies that ever made me go, there you go. That's how it should be done. And one was The Avengers, 2 was Deadpool. Iron Man, almost kind of, sort of. Iron Man 2 was obviously a travesty. Iron Man 1 was really, really good, but there was some stuff that bothered me about it. Iron Man 3, I actually still haven't seen yet, so I can't weigh in on that. If you're one of the many people I know that go, what about Iron Man 3? Because I have this conversation with folks a lot. Don't know, haven't seen it yet. But Deadpool, oh my gosh, so freaking good. And it's basically, when Ryan Reynolds came out as the guy who played him back in one of the Wolverine movies, I was like, oh my God, how amazing that would be. I mean, they never do it because it would be an R-rated comic book movie, but how amazing would that be to have Ryan Reynolds play Deadpool? Because it's essentially Van Wilder if Van Wilder was a psychotic killer, and it worked out freaking great. So good, so good. If you are someone that is in any way, shape, or form into comic books, go see it. And if you're not, go see it anyway. And very good friend of the show, Randall Reeder, he plays a small but pivotal role in the movie. He plays this guy Buck. You probably know him as Big Bob from Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay, and you've seen him in like a bazillion other things, Grandma's Boy as well. But here's the thing, watch for his scene. We're probably going to have him on the show over the next week or so. But yeah, do yourself a favor, go see Deadpool. Oh, man. I guess we should get to some news, but I'm still hung up on this thing that Bernie Sanders managed to do, which was insane in that he managed to get one of my incredibly right-wing friends to talk nice about a guy that was running under a banner of democratic socialism. Absolutely, absolutely freaking crazy to me. And look, Bernie Sanders, I don't know enough about the guy to comment on who he is and what he stands for in terms of what his potential presidency would look like. There's been a lot of talk about it. And if you've listened to the show for any length of time, while I refuse to be labeled and while I vote for a person, not a party, you probably have picked up on that I'm a scotch more conservative. I guess I'm socially liberal, fiscally conservative, which makes people go, you're a libertarian, come over, smoke pot and shoot guns. And I go, oh, that's really not my thing. So I don't really know enough about Bernie Sanders to comment intelligently on what a Bernie Sanders presidency could look like. I know a lot about it, but I haven't really had the opportunity to fact check and do my due diligence on stuff because, look, the fact that we've got anybody running that is going, I'm going to be a socialist if I'm president. It's democratic socialism, but the fact that the word socialism is even allowed in the conversation as we get into pulling the lever for democracy in 2016 is crazy, absolutely crazy. The fact that we've got a reality show guy that's leading the right and a socialist who's making big noise on the left. It says to me that this non-career politician, reality show guy, billionaire, and real estate mogul that's leading the right, and this guy who's saying socialism and getting away with it and flourishing in his campaign, it says to me that we, as a nation of people, feel like we don't really care what it is. We just want something different. For the love of God, something different. And so, like I said, there's been a lot of mudslinging that ensued. But if he doesn't do anything else, if he never shows up again on any kind of political or social radar after this point, the fact that I saw Bernie Sanders, by example, by saying, hey, you know what? Scalia might not have agreed with him on a lot of stuff, but he was a brilliant man. Prayers go out to his family and loved ones. And see that inspire folks, seeing him as a human being, not mudslinging, rising above, gives me great hope for the future.
I guess that I should stop by saying
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So, we've had a black president. There's now all these questions about whether or not we're going to have a female president. There are ideas that, are we ready for a gay president? Are we ready for a Jewish president? Are we ready for an Italian president? Mike Marino thinks that might be a good move.
My dream was always to have an Italian president from New Jersey run the country. Come on, folks, if we had a mob boss in the White House, little wise guy, think about it, right? Mob boss in the White House, war in Afghanistan be over. You wouldn't know how, but it'd be over. And then they'd ask our president in like a big news conference, Mr. President, you ended the war in Baghdad. Can you tell us how you did it? Our boy be on national television in a three-piece suit with a cigarette going. Don't worry about it. You just go enjoy the gas prices at 32 cents a gallon now, okay? Think about it. When Bin Laden first made us mad a long time ago, what did our old president do? He sent over the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps. Everybody went to go find one guy. An Italian president? No. 2 Italians from Jersey be back in 24 hours. And they'd have found Bin Laden. They'd have walked into his cave like it was a hit. I'll tell you what, Ben, you sit still. Here's what we're going to do for you. Hey, Vinny, hit him with the bat. Is he dead? Good. The war's over. Steal the rugs. Come on, let's get out of here.
You know, there is more than one. There's more than one popular set of beliefs that have said that Sicily has been more or less left alone by terrorism for reasons not dissimilar to what's been outlined by that. And that's a whole show, and that's a theory that's been put forward many, many times. And we'll get into that because it's an interesting one sometime in the future. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. What's going on in the world, Funk?
Oh, so much. It's a holiday, so...
Well, I mean, first and foremost, how yeah. You know, I don't know if you had to work, but there is no clearer illustration of your place in the pecking order in your place of business than you being the person that shows up on the holiday while everybody else is on freaking vacation. And now here's the thing. It might seem like a glass half full situation. Oh, man, I got to go into work and nobody else is around. But you know who inevitably will be in no way, shape, or form present at your place of business? Your boss. If you had to work today, guess what? Your boss is not there. Your boss, your supervisor, whatever you want to call it. So here's the upside to the situation. On a day like today, when you've had your place in the pecking order clearly illustrated by the fact that you're the person working and your boss is not, the upside is workplace productivity expectations placed on you are going to be at an all-time freaking low. No one's there. No one's cracking the whip. No one's really expecting anything. So today is really just about drinking company coffee and surfing porn on company Wi-Fi. You are welcome. Silver lining, my friend. Silver lining. Did you have a good time on vacation with Canadian Jane?
Yeah.
Your Airbnb, like that was a whole experiment, the great social experiment. Funkhauser's going to Airbnb. He's going to go on a seaside holiday with his lovely and talented girlfriend, Canadian Jane.
It was pleasant.
It was pleasant. And you said it costs you slightly less than a Motel 6 to stay in someone's home.
Yeah, slightly less. And I'm helping out that someone instead of, some hotel company. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of fun, especially the, you guys have a curfew or something called last call. And then there's an hour or two after that where just, I don't know, it's like another planet outside. Everybody's, where's my car? And that was my Saturday night, listening to the sounds of the beachgoers after the bars close. They release them onto the street.
Interesting. And now, one thing I didn't realize is that with this particular version of Airbnb, the person who owned the place where you were staying was also there.
Yeah, she's like, I'll be in and out. I have 2 jobs, so I might be there. And she was there Sunday morning, and we met her. And it was very nice, very pleasant, very, very nice. I need to write a review. And so if you'd like to help me on Twitter, @FunkFM, help me write a review.
Didn't her like baby daddy come over and drop off a kid early in the morning, and they like woke you up by playing Xbox or something?
Yeah, well, there was that. Yeah. Early Sunday morning, like 8 o'clock. The PS3 turns on, and there's random voices coming out from the living room. Like,
did the kid home? Like knock on your door and be like, "Hi"?
No, but I know the kid's name. Why? Because the kid's name is written in big letters on the wall at
over
the
your
headboard.
bed.
Yes. So yeah.
Did you and I'm just going to come out and say it. Did you and Canadian Jane have sex in this kid's bed?
Whoa, man! Whoa!
Real classy. Why don't we just go to the story?
I'll take that as a yes. Let's just go to the story. I mean, it's your romantic Valentine's getaway, and
Mommy, can I go in my room?
No. You booked a place to stay. And now, did you know from looking at the pictures that you were staying in the kid's bedroom?
Not really. I mean, there's some stuff on the wall, fine. But I was mostly going for location and making sure the person was pleasant.
Right.
Pictures were okay.
Unconscionable what happened in this kid's bed over the weekend. I guess he can take heart knowing that his bedroom was used as a place to further Canadian-American relations, so there's that. Let's move swiftly on to the news.
Carly Fiorina has dropped out of the race.
Yeah. The whole sort of like GOP field is getting significantly narrower. There was this clown car-esque aspect to the GOP where they had to have remember they had to have two debates. They had to have the debate and then they had what they called the kids table debate because there were so many people like, I can totally be president. No, you can't. Could have picked a lot of the people that bailed very, very early on. But Carly Fiorina, I was expecting to stick around a bit longer. She seemed to have so much presence, so much purpose with what she was doing. I didn't think she would quit so early. And I guess it's not really early, but I was really honestly expecting her to stick around. I guess when you get into stuff like the Iowa caucus and things of that nature and you're not really even on the scoreboard, that's a fairly good indicator that it's time to stop asking for people's money so you can hit the campaign trail. But still, I kind of figured, she would... I don't know. She just seems so principled and like she was on a mission. I didn't think she would win, but I thought she would stick it out a bit longer than that. What else?
Well, I wonder if she's dropped out of the race or just they stopped supporting Windows 10. She came from HP. Get it?
Yeah, HP, Microsoft. Yes.
Thank you. Chris Christie has also dropped out of the presidential race.
Yeah, and with Christie gone, there will be room for at least 3 more people on stage at the next debate. And that probably marks the last time you will hear the words Chris Christie and run used in the same sentence. Go on.
Jeb Bush had a birthday. He turned 63.
Yeah. I think for his birthday, all he wanted was for someone to explain to him how the hell he became the family disappointment. I feel bad that he took the bait. I feel bad that he's like, I'm over people talking smack about my family. My family was great. My dad was the greatest person ever. It's just like when you personalize it like that, when you allow someone to hit you where you live in that way, it's just like you are absolutely being baited and you're taking the bait and you're blowing your cool, which Jeb has done a bunch of times, but you are blowing your cool in a public way that I think disempowers you. And I get it. And, there's lots of low blows directed at his family. But, to not rise above, I think, is hurting him. That's just my personal opinion. Anyways, I'm not sure what his party was like, but pretty much guarantee it was boring, bland, and uninspired. Go on.
Well, Donald Trump had an up and down week.
Yeah. He won New Hampshire, which was good for him. But then, weirdly enough, he didn't even show up on Rolling Stone's list of the 40 greatest TV villains ever. Go figure. What else?
Insiders say Marco Rubio panics during crisis moments. I said insiders say Marco Rubio panics during crisis moments. I said insiders say Marco Rubio panics during crisis moments.
Hey, what would you say happens to Marco Rubio during crisis moments?
I don't know.
He had a crisis moment. He broke his tooth on a frozen Twix.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Who do you count that for your? Is that a win for you? It's frozen Twix.
It's frozen Twix. Why would that be a win for me?
Oh no, it wasn't Kit Kat.
Different candy. No. I'm if he broke his tooth on a frozen Kit Kat, that would have had something to do with my family. He chipped his tooth after eating a frozen Twix bar. Then he spent the next several hours trying to convince voters that he's an adult who deserves to be president. I actually like him. When the first debate happened, I was like, I think that's my guy. And now it's just, you know what it is? It's just all these candidates get harder to like for me. The more mud they sling, the more they lower themselves to playing a dirty political game, the more they lower themselves to arguing like 6th grade schoolgirls on the podium when the debates happen, the more they take part in this reductive behavior. And I feel bad because there's kind of no way to comport yourself with dignity and gravitas in these situations when people are slinging the mud at you. You kind of got to engage them in some way, shape, or form. And it's just, but the more they do this, the less I feel like we have a snowball's chance in hell of electing anybody that I think is a real man or a real woman. It's just the nastier it gets, the less I think of all the candidates, and the more I think we're effed, and the more I'm reminded that if we want to do something, then we should do something for ourselves. It comes down to us every single morning. You don't like your life, guess who can make that change? You. Guess who else can make that change? Nobody. It's not down to who you vote for. It's not down to who gets elected. It's down to you. It's always going to be to you to figure out your own problems and deal with your life. And none of these bickering school children are really going to have any kind of effect on you moving forward. And it's sad to see it happen, but it's a great reminder of who's holding the reins. What else?
Well, Burger King is adding grilled hot dogs to their menu.
Oh, wow. Good. So it's not all bad news for Chris Christie. What else?
The Michigan legislature passed a bill banning bestiality.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough time for this.
It's just the fact that it wasn't illegal before, and there's places in America where it's not. Jersey, where Chris Christie's from, think bestiality is legal. There is, man, and we really don't have time to get into it, and I don't think that we could. I don't know if we could really talk about it on the air and remain employed. But in Washington, there was that farm. There was that farm where it was a farm, but it was run like a brothel, and it was weirdly enough legal, but became illegal after a guy died there during a mishap with a horse.
Careful.
It's crazy. No. We're leaving it at that. But yeah, the Michigan legislature passed a bill banning bestiality. So there you go. When in Michigan, can't have sex with Ted Nugent.
You know how a lot of times you feel like it's cool to turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt even when they don't deserve it.